This is Arenys de Munt, a village of 8,000 inhabitants in Catalonia, Spain. I've been living not too far away from here for about 20 years. Today, the people of Arenys de Munt wish to take part in a peaceful local opinion poll. The question, would you like Catalonia to be an independent state within the European Union? Yes or no? So what happened? The Spanish government banned the poll, but the people of Arenys de Munt are going ahead anyway. Paradoxically, the government has given permission to an extreme right-wing group called the Falange to come here and protest against the poll. They're on their way. This has upset plenty of people in Spain, such as the Secretary General of the far-right Falange Party, Norberto Pico, who regards this poll as anything but democratic. Even after years of living here, I confess I wasn't that well up on Catalan history, so I asked one of Catalonia's best-known historians, Josep Maria Soler y Sabater, to explain the background to the present conflict.
En 1714, digamos, hubo una guerra que Castilla, o el reino de Castilla, se impuso sobre el resto de los territorios que formaban, digamos, toda la península ibérica.
Spanish was first imposed on Catalan people nearly 300 years ago, even though most spoke only Catalan. Successive Spanish governments lodged decree after decree to weaken the use of Catalan. In 1881, it was banned on legal documents. In 1896, in public meetings and on the phone. In 1900, in the theatre. In 1939, when Franco came to power, it was banned absolutely everywhere. People caught speaking in Catalan could be detained and severely beaten. Speaking or even reading a book in Catalan in public places became a form of direct protest against this long-running fascist regime. In the 1960s, economically desperate monolingual Spanish speakers from other areas of Spain were encouraged to move to Catalonia. To find out about the effect this has had, I got in touch with a long-term English resident, Matthew Tree, an Englishman who writes and publishes in Catalan.
The Franco government, instead of putting infrastructures where they needed to be put, Extremadura, Andalusia, etc., they found it very convenient to have a whole group of monolingual Spanish speakers moving in to an area like Catalonia, which was at that time still very much a Catalan-speaking area. You move people in for economic reasons, create friction and tension, and try to eliminate the language that's spoken in the area.
After Franco's death in 1975, democracy was introduced in Spain. In Catalonia, a statute of autonomy was negotiated, which placed great emphasis on the restoration of the Catalan language to its rightful place and status in Catalonia.
Es decir, han reproducido la misma fórmula de Franco. Ahora mandan como en tiempos de Franco, pero en vez del castellano imponen el catalán.
Yo no hablo de separatismo, pero son muy nacionalistas y son muy suyos. El resto de España yo creo que es diferente. Que el idioma, que te obliguen a dar clases en catalán, no me afecta, soy andaluz.
Falta mucha democracia. Ya se sabe, en Cataluña pues es la dictadura blanca, digamos.
The dislike or the hatred or the distrust against other national groups in Spain goes much more against the Catalans than it does against the Basques. I think really because the Catalans are the only people who really do have a live, active, linguistically differentiated culture.
What harm there was in Catalans learning their own language?
They are punishing themselves because when they finish studying, they cannot work outside Catalonia in the rest of Spain. And they have a problem now with doctors, engineers, journalists. They only can work inside there because they don't speak Spanish, which is very stupid.
However, even non-native residents of Catalonia disagree with this view.
The whole idea, I've got two small kids, 5-year-old kids, who are in the Catalan public education system at the moment. And when they come out of school, they're surrounded by media and press and all kinds of other factors which are almost exclusively in Spanish. So to counteract that effect, they have immersion in Catalan. And of course they all come out of the education system speaking Spanish as well. I mean, I don't know anybody in 24 years of living here, of any age group at all, who is a monolingual Catalan speaker.
I wondered about those Catalan citizens who had been born in other parts of Spain and moved there. Do they feel discriminated against?
Yo llevo aquí 40 años y no me siento oprimido.
35.
¿Y se siente catalana también ahora? ¿O?
Por supuesto. Me siento catalana con mis raíces andaluzas.
In Spain, Catalans have a reputation for being tight with money. This is because back in the 19th century, despite a lack of natural resources, Catalan society, socially flexible, trade-based and with many small-scale property owners, was able to create the first industrial revolution in southern Europe. Spanish legislation, however, remained geared to a mainly agricultural economy that favoured large-scale landowners. The emerging Catalan bourgeoisie reacted by insisting that public money was ploughed into infrastructures which would favour a modern industrial economy. And as the only economy of this type was in Catalonia, the Spanish started to see the Catalans, and the image has stuck, as financial parasites, sponging off the rest of Spain. So was money then the main bone of contention between Catalonia and Spain?
Nos están chupando de todos los españoles.
Los catalanes chupan de los españoles.
Los catalanes son los que más dinero reciben de España, sí.
Que el PSOE les regala a todos los catalanes. Les da mucho dinero.
A mí.
I decided to check with a fellow Englishman who knows Spain a lot better than I do.
Well, I think it's partly to do with... I mean, this is... What I'm about to say is pathetic. I mean, because one would hope there would be more serious answers. To a large extent, it's jealousy. Because when the Catalans protest, when Catalan politicians protest that they believe that a disproportionate amount of the Catalan economy goes to the rest of Spain, this is then presented to the rest of Spain as if they're being robbed.
Yo creo que en estos momentos Cataluña aporta muy poco al conjunto de España. Se ha convertido en un obstáculo, no añade sino que quita, y además es un cáncer, porque es una zona de España sin libertad que está extendiéndose.
It's very similar in many ways. It has similarities, let's say, put it like that, to a certain kind of anti-Semitism. You know, a lot of the stereotypes or stereotypical traits that are put on the Catalans are not too different from the ones that were put on Jews before the Second World War.
As Catalonia is Spain's third wealthiest autonomous region, it seems only reasonable that they should pay more to help out the poorer areas of the country, just as similarly wealthy regions do all over Europe. This means that they pay central government more than they receive from it. The difference is called a fiscal deficit. Let's take a wealthy English region, the southeast, for example. It is 17% wealthier on average than other English regions and has a fiscal deficit of 6.38%. Or let's take Paris, which is 51% richer than the average French region and has a fiscal deficit of 4.36%. Or again, we can look at one of the wealthiest German lands, Bavaria, which is 16% richer on average than the others and has a deficit of just under 4%. So what about Catalonia? It's 22% wealthier on average than other Spanish regions, but its fiscal deficit is neither more nor less than 9.76%, almost 10% of everything it produces, which is more in real terms than the English southeast, Paris or Bavaria, no less than 18,500 million euros skimmed yearly off the taxes of a total population of just 7 million, making Catalonia by far the most highly taxed region in Europe. In the last 10 years, what with 50% of all recent foreign immigrants to Spain now living in Catalonia, it is unable to meet the new challenges this poses to its locally financed school and health services.
Muchas regiones españolas se están manteniendo comunidades como la comunidad andaluza, o sea, Andalucía, ¿no? Sí. Andalucía la están convirtiendo en un país subvencionado, sí, con el PER y compañía, ¿no? Sí.
All over the world, national identity finds an outlet through national sports teams. Catalonia isn't allowed to have one. But this lack is partly made up for by Barcelona Football Club, which has become Catalonia's default national squad.
Nuestra idea de país es diferente de lo que es España. Entonces nosotros consideramos que Cataluña pues es un poco más, y el Barça ha sido durante muchos años la forma de representar esta nacionalidad del país.
In the stadium, Catalan flags are waved with pride. There isn't a single Spanish flag in sight. Among supporters of Real Madrid, Spain's leading football club, anti-Catalan feeling is freely expressed.
Hace 2 semanas fuimos al campo del Barcelona, no había ninguna bandera española en el campo. ¿Eso por qué?
No era... Esa gente no es española, cuando no tiene bandera española pues son españoles, son catalanes y punto.
La gente o es catalana o es española, pero las dos cosas no está bien visto.
¡Viva España! En inglés, porque Cataluña is not Spain.
Ah, ¿y es un problema para los españoles como conjunto?
No,
para Cataluña, para ellos. No para España, para ellos, que son catalanes y se quieren independizar.
Es que en Barcelona la bandera española la queman.
¿Y eso por qué?
Pues porque no les gusta España. Pues por eso les llamamos, en España se le llaman los polacos.
Porque son catalanes, son de ahí de Cataluña, y nosotros somos españoles y son catalanes que se vayan a la mierda.
Viene Cataluña, allí no se puede hablar. Si hablas y les llevas la contraria, te atizan, te encarcelan, te persiguen, te multan, te acosan, te trituran, te injurian en TV3, en fin, de todo. Te sumergen, y es más, te ahogan.
Es decir, aquí el proceso de liquidación que se está viviendo en España no es violento como en los Balcanes, de la noche a la mañana, ¡bom!, una guerra, etc. No, es un arrinconamiento sistemático de la gente que se sigue sintiendo español, que quiere hablar en español, que quiere que sus hijos estudien en español y no pueden.
It's very similar, and I don't want to make comparisons, but from what I've read, it's very similar to the kind of broadcasting that was going on in Yugoslavia for 10 years leading up to the Civil War, and the Bosnian War, I mean. And for me it's quite frightening, you know. I hear that man on the radio and more than upset me, or he frightens me.
As we've seen, Spain is far from being one big happy family. And the blackest sheep of all in this family is clearly Catalonia, for historical, linguistic, economic and even sports-related reasons. Again and again, I've heard the Catalans condemned as nationalistic, selfish and even treacherous, inasmuch as they want to break up Spain.
Parece que lo de Cataluña quieren ser de otro sitio, y Cataluña pertenece a España.
¿Y se podría romper España con 4 años más de Zapatero?
Ya está rota. Lo único que la puede hundir.
Why do you think this tension between Catalonia and the rest of Spain has suddenly come to the surface?
Catalonia is the dynamo, to a large extent, that keeps the rest of Spain going. And I think what it is, I mean, this is purely a guess because it's the sort of thing, it's so irrational, it's very difficult to give you a precise and specific reason. I think it's to do with the fact that centralism and the idea that Spain might be broken up is one of the kind of staples that the right wing in Spain can always turn to if it's in trouble, if it needs to drum up support.
I asked a famous Spanish writer, Fernando Sánchez Dragó, what being Spanish meant to him.
El español es el único ser humano que duda continuamente de su propia identidad. Para un inglés, para un alemán, para un japonés, no es un problema ser inglés, ser alemán o ser japonés. En cambio, el español está en guerra consigo mismo. España, como decía Ortega, es un país que no se ha vertebrado nunca. Y una vez más lo estamos viendo, y eso ha generado ese sentimiento de duda, esa lucha del español consigo mismo, que exteriorizada se traduce en continuas guerras civiles. España, y esto es un frío dato de la historia, es el país del mundo que más guerras universales, que más guerras civiles ha tenido.
If Spain was so anti-Catalan, and the Catalans had already started having polls for independence, why didn't Catalonia simply declare independence unilaterally and leave Spain?
Claro, la ley es la ley, la Constitución española garantiza y dice expresamente que España es una nación y garantiza expresamente los mecanismos para salvaguardar la cohesión y la unidad del país, ¿no?
No me gustaría que España se convirtiera en una nación de naciones, para nada. Considero que soy español y España es mi patria.
Yo no quiero una confederación de países dentro de España, yo quiero una España unida. España es España. Una. 2569. Proclamem Arenys de Munt, primer municipi que ha votat lliurement i democràticament